Well done! You've reached the last choice in part 2 of the writing paper, the review. But this isn't the last video on writing. Video 27 is an overview of all the writing tasks together, and we'll revise what we've covered from the beginning so that all the different writing tasks are clear for you. So in this video, we're going to look at how to write a review. But first, let's think for a minute about exactly what a review is. What kind of things are reviewed? What are reviews about? And where would you expect to see them? I'm sure you've read a product review on Amazon.com, or maybe a holiday or travel review on a travel website or magazine. TripAdvisor reviews hotels, among other things. And Rotten Tomatoes has reviews for films and TV series. We also find reviews on blogs, on social media, and on YouTube, for example. We actually see reviews everywhere these days because word of mouth and personal recommendation is very influential. There are lots of social media influencers on different media platforms, and many of them are reviewing, recommending, and promoting different products and services. So how should you write a review if you choose it from part 2? And what are the typical characteristics of a review? First of all, you need to give information to the reader. The reader wants to know things about the film, the mobile phone, the hotel, the restaurant, etc. And you need to pass on that useful information. You need to include descriptive vocabulary in your review. The examiner is looking for a range of descriptive adjectives and descriptive language that gives a good description of the thing you are reviewing. You also need to express your personal opinion. This comes at the end. Although you can write about the good and the bad things during the review. Nothing's perfect, is it? So you will probably have some positive things to write about in your review and some negative things as well. Let's look at an example question. Pause the video, read the question, and decide which words you would underline or highlight if you decided to answer this question in the exam. Pause the video now and read the question. Who's going to read this review? Who is the target reader? Well, it's for a college magazine, so your peers will read it. Your peers are people of your age and at your level in life. The review is about a restaurant. It could be a positive or a negative review. You choose. It could be a favorite restaurant or a restaurant to stay away from, a place to warn people about. You also need to write about what kind it is. The kind of restaurant could mean the kind of food, Chinese, Greek, Spanish, French, etc. It could mean a cheap, fast food place or an expensive upper-class restaurant. You also need to give a recommendation. Is it good or bad, and why? We've spoken before many times about writing a plan first before you start writing. How much time should you spend on your plan? Yeah, about 5 minutes, more or less. So, how can you plan for the review? Well, first decide which restaurant you're going to review. It could be a real restaurant that you've been to, or an imaginary place that you invent. Real is always better because it's much easier to write about something you know. What kind of restaurants do you go to with your friends? Think about the pros and the cons, the good things and the bad things about the restaurant. Was it all bad or all fantastic? Maybe, but probably not. Think about the service, the atmosphere, the price, the quality of the food, etc. How will you organize this information into paragraphs? What will you include in your introduction and in your conclusion? Use the information in the question. Would you recommend this restaurant to your friends at the college? Why or why not? Think about vocabulary while you're planning and write down some words and collocations that you could use. But don't write full sentences. You're only planning at this stage and you want to plan quickly. You need to use words to give an opinion, a description, and a recommendation. Try to get the reader interested in the restaurant. No one wants to read a boring review, especially the examiner. This is what a plan might look like. It's the plan for a review of a pizzeria that you will read later. Notice how the notes are divided into paragraphs and there is key vocabulary written for each section of the review. If you write a review from a plan like this, it's very clear what you need to put in each paragraph and your review will be well organized. What is the examiner looking for in your writing? We've spoken about these 4 criteria before. The examiner focuses on these 4 criteria for every kind of writing that you do in the exam. An essay, a report, an article, a review, or a letter or email. They're marking your writing based on content. So, have you answered all parts of the question? Is everything relevant to the question? Is the reader informed? Also, communicative achievement. Do you communicate your ideas effectively in English? Is your writing clear? Do you express yourself clearly when you write English? Organization. Is your writing well organized and understandable? Have you used paragraphs and linking words in your writing? And finally, language. Are you using a variety of grammar and vocabulary? And is it accurate? Are there mistakes in your writing? And if there are a few mistakes, do they affect communication? So, thinking about these 4 criteria, content, communicative achievement, organization, and language, here's an example answer to this exam question. Pause the video, read the review, and ask yourself if you think it would pass the exam in your opinion. Is it a good review based on these 4 criteria? You can use the B2 First Writing Self-Assessment PDF support document in this lesson to help you give marks to this review. So pause the video now, read the review, and then decide if you think it would pass. Yes, this review would pass the exam. Under the content category, yes, the question has been answered. Everything is relevant to a restaurant review, and the reader learns about how busy the restaurant is, the cozy atmosphere. There's nice decoration, great garlic bread, but disappointing desserts, etc. And what about communicative achievement? Well, yes, the information is well communicated and the language is used effectively. What about the organisation? Well, there are clear paragraphs, there's a nice summary at the end, and the writer uses good linking expressions such as "another great thing is," "even though it was a Tuesday," "overall," "as for the service." And the language is effective too. There's some nice vocabulary in the review like "hidden away," "luckily," "an ideal place," "cozy Italian atmosphere," "I went for one," which means I chose one, "I went for one with wild mushrooms and spicy sausage. It was delicious," "friendly and efficient service," "to hang around," which means to spend time or to wait. So lots of good descriptive vocabulary and very nice informal expressions. To recap, when you make your 5-minute plan, ask yourself these questions. What are you reviewing? Now, all the information you need is in the question. Is it a film review, a website, a hotel, a review for a mobile phone, etc.? And who are you reviewing it for? Who's going to read it? Always think about your audience when you're writing. And what points do you need to include? What are the pros and the cons, the positive and the negative aspects? Do you recommend it or not? And why? What was your personal experience like? What ideas and interesting vocabulary can you use in your review? And don't forget to write a title for your review. The title is whatever you are reviewing. For example, Luigi's Restaurant, or the latest Samsung phone, or Game of Thrones, or the name of the last book you read. Now let's see what you remember. As usual, take the quiz for this lesson and check your answers. Remember, you can always go back and watch this video as many times as necessary. In the support section, there's an exam question that you can answer and some expressions you can use in a review. Also, there's a self-assessment sheet for you to check your writing with. And don't forget to take advantage of the Cambridge Write and Improve website to get free AI-based feedback on your writing, and you'll see a review question on their website. In the next lesson, there's a general overview and summary of the reading and use of English part of the exam. How long should you spend on each part? What's the best way to divide your time when you're doing the reading and use of English part? You'll find out in the next video.